Fantastic, here we go. We are going to start sitting down, so have something to raise your sitting bones with. A pillow or a folded blanket. If you find sitting like this uncomfortable, you could take a bolster and kneel on top of it. So just find a comfortable position. If you find once you're sitting, knees are right up here, either put bricks underneath your knees or pillows underneath your knees, or better, lift your bottom up a little bit higher. So I would sit on the edge of the bolster, bring the pelvis right up. Ideally, we are looking to have the front of the pelvis dropping down, so your pubic bone dropping down, and your sitting bones nice and wide. If you had a tail like a horse or a big cat, it would be lying out behind you. It wouldn't be tucked underneath you. So just be very careful you're not like that, because we want to open these psoas muscles. So get yourself kind of lifted, comfy, and we're just going to mobilize the pelvis to start off with. So give yourself some big circles in situ whilst you're sitting down. See if you can feel those sitting bones mobilizing, one pubic bone, other sitting bone. You're kind of stirring the porridge pot like so. Nice big massaging circles. Just get a bit of flow going around. In fact, you might even want to just massage your belly as well as you roll around. We always go up the ascending colon on the right, across underneath the rib cage, and down the descending colon. Just getting everything moving. Doing a massage around the intestines is a lovely, lovely bit of self-care practice. We know, unfortunately, constipation, which is part and parcel with the dropping of progesterone and our digestion becoming more sluggish as we age. It is the #1 driver of incontinence. So we just do need to be on top of constipation with our diets, with our movement, and also just a little bit of massage can be super, super helpful. Massaging and some twists. So actually, let's do some twists. Let's just take our hands onto our shoulders, and I'm just going to get you to do like a washing machine, some little twists in situ as well. And as you twist, do a breath out, like a... You're puffing out candles on a big birthday cake. Beautiful. Come back into the center and lateral stretch up and over. We're opening up the rib cage and the intercostal muscles between the ribs. These are part of our breathing mechanism. They work with our diaphragm to pull breath into the lower lobes of our lungs. And when we are all hunched and tight, they get congested and stuck. And our shoulders get stuck. And our heart health is massively affected. You can imagine all congestion around the heart is not good. We know heart disease is the #1 killer of women. So mobilizing around this area is super helpful. Let's breathe in deeply as you do your lateral stretch. Breathe in. Imagine you're filling up from the bottom of your lungs to here, to the midpoint, right up towards your armpits and your clavicles. And then breathing out as we move up and over to the other side. Deep, full breath in, stretching. Opening those lungs. That's it. And then again. Beautiful. And coming up, a gentle twist, Sukhasana twist, this is called, just a gentle twist. You start from the pelvis. I'm going to get you to move, I'm going to my left. Move your right pubic bone slightly forward so it feels like a corkscrew going from the pelvis through the spine, up through the crown of the head. Shoulders are down. Breathe in through your spine, through the crown of your head. As you exhale, just feel like you're melting inside. Breathe into the center, 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 up and over to the other side. So a little bit of forward movement with the left side of your pubic bone. So the pelvis slightly moves. The pelvis is the stabilizer for the spine. So the spine comes out of the pelvis. We don't want to be stuck here and pulling our spine around. Beautiful. Coming back into the center. Now lean slightly forward. We're just going to focus on the front of the pelvic floor. So the sensation is like you're stopping yourself weeing, yeah? So I call this closing the hose. You clamp the urethra, imaginary hose shut, and then we zip it up a little bit. We pick it up like a tissue being picked up out of a tissue box, and then you drop it down. So breathe out like you're blowing out of a straw. Hey, Sarah, and then out. Hi, darling. So we're just sitting, closing the hose right now. This is lift your bottom up with a pillow or something underneath your sitting bones, pubic bone forward, dropping down, and we're just lifting up as if you are stopping yourself weeing and then releasing those muscles down. Breathe out as if you're blowing out a candle or puffing breath out of a straw. And the reason we do that, the reason we create a constriction on the breath out, is we're getting our diaphragm to be high, and that helps the pelvic diaphragm lift up as well at the same time. So we're going like this internally, breathing out, lifting up the urethra and releasing. Breathing out and releasing. So we want to get these quick flicks activating, so that when we get a snuffle and a cough and a cold, we're able to get these muscles to activate just a fraction of a second before we cough. So what I want to be able to do is go, lift these muscles up, release them. In fact, why don't you guys do that too? Lift up, a little lift before you have that pressure going downwards of a cough or a sneeze. Quick lift up, release. Now release down completely and do some more of your pelvic circles, releasing right around. You want to feel the sitting bones and the pubic bone. So it's like we're stirring right around the pelvic bowl. Letting the muscles around the urethra be really relaxed now. So just notice if you're doing any holding here. Nice and relaxed. Now, whilst you're doing anything where we are doing release, relax, stretching out the muscles, be sure to relax your jaw, yeah? And do a breath where it's an extended kind of exhalation. You want to have your face looking as gormless as possible, as relaxed as possible, because these muscles here are all fascially connected right down here. So if you're like, down here, it's going to be, and then you can't recruit those muscles. We can't recruit a muscle that is already tense. There's nowhere for it to go. So nice and relaxed here. I'm going to come back to some of those quick flicks later on in the practice. But for now, take your feet out in front of you. And I'm just going to come back so you can see me. Take your feet out in front of you, and then hands just beside you, just behind you. Roll the shoulders into the back of the sockets and keep them down. You want to feel the muscles between your shoulder blades activating. These are your rhomboids. They are very crucial in your posture to stop those shoulders rolling forward. We need to keep this area open and strengthen the upper back. So we're going to drop the knees from one side to the other. And the movement is coming from the hip joints. So you're rolling up and down. You're rolling up and down. This is called adducting. We are adducting inwards, mobilizing around the hip joints. getting blood flow into these rotator muscles, super important. Unfortunately, when we get stiff around the hips, it's very aging. The pelvis stops to have this good vascular flow. The pelvic floor muscles stop working well. We stop getting good blood flow around these hip joints. The synovial fluid starts to dry up. So movement like this, really helpful. So let's slow it down. Up and over, and now push the inside of this knee down towards your mat. And activate slightly through your bum muscle here, the glute. Squeeze it so you roll up and over slightly. As you press the inside of the knee down, up and over, stretching into the quadricep, front of your thigh, all the way up into the pelvis. Yeah? That's it, and up and over to the other side. So squeeze right glute, thumb, squeeze it, roll the hip up and forward, press the inside of the knee down slightly. This is called rectus femoris, this muscle that we're stretching into. We've also got another muscle that goes from the inside of the knee right up and across and into the pelvis. The sartorius muscle. These two muscles can get foreshortened, tight, pull your pelvis under. Big knock-on effect. So one more time, slow on each side, pressing down the inside of the knee. That's it. Beautiful, up and over again. Pressing down. Good. And then let's just come up over onto hands and knees. If you need to use a blanket underneath your knees, please do. Let's just do a release on our wrists before we move on. So, Helen, can you see my hands okay? Can you see my hands all right, or do I need to move? You can.
Yeah, I can see them.
Great. Okay, so it's like you're a cat and you're pawing at the carpet. And just move your hands around so that we get a bit of a stretch into the wrists. And then give them a swirl. Anytime wrists become achy, I think a good practice is to roll up the front of your mat and just put the wrists on the mat so the fingers are dropping off, yeah? So what we don't want to do is lock into the elbows and put this, have locked elbows like that. We always want to have a slight bend through the elbows, eyes of the elbows facing each other. And we do want some pressure through the wrists. We need to keep these guys strong as well. All right, so coming straight into cat and cow, because the pelvis is the beginning of our whole core. And this is actually an incredibly powerful and helpful practice, even though it's incredibly simple. So you will be doing this in most yoga classes you go to, but often the cueing is around the shoulders. We want to do it from the pelvic floor. So first of all, lift your sitting bones and spread them behind you. Stick your bum up towards the ceiling. Imagine you have that tail and it's sticking up to show everybody your fabulous tail. And then you want to draw your sitting bones together and draw the tail underneath you so you can check it out yourself. And then lift the tail and show off the tail behind you. And then pull it out underneath you. Now, as you breathe in, you lift the tail and then allow that ripple effect of movement to come up through your chest to your head. Tuck the tail and allow the ripple of movement to arch your back. Angry cat, happy cow. Breathe out as you tuck your tail, so you start to scoop your lower belly. Breathe in as you lift your tail. So we are basically, keep going with that, we're opening the pelvic floor, closing it, opening, closing. We're getting great movement through those pelvic floor muscles. And if you start to use your breath with the movement, this is a really, really great toning exercise. So breathe in, spread your sitting bones, lengthen the pelvic floor. Breathe out now. I'm going to get you to breathe out really purposefully. Pull the pelvic floor muscles in and up, scooping upwards through the lower belly, right up towards your rib cage. Really press down through your hands. And then inhaling, opening the lungs, opening the pelvic floor. Exhaling, activation. Inhaling and exhaling. Couple more. Inhaling and exhaling. Good. Now from this point, imagine your tail is swirling in a big circle behind you. You're showing it off to the crowd that's behind you, going, what a fabulous tail. So you're rolling your bum around in a big circle, and I'm going to get you to take the movement up your spine and into your shoulders. So bend your elbows, roll the pelvis around, massage this movement up through the torso, right into the shoulders. You might want to just wriggle your jaw here as well. Give your jaw a releasing wriggle. One direction with that circling and then the other direction. Start with your tail. Once you've got the circling with your tail, lift that movement up into the lower back, the mid back, up into your shoulders. Big circles. Big circles. All right, so elbows now onto your mat, bum up in the sky, hands together in prayer. Lift your hands towards the ceiling. See if you can drop your forehead towards your mat. If that doesn't work, you might need to grab your blanket or cushion and just put your forehead on that. Now we're sliding our knees slightly apart. We're wanting to stretch the inside of your thighs. So these are adductor muscles, inner thigh muscles. They go right up into your pelvic floor. When they are tight, everything tends to be tight here as well. Tightness means muscles are not working. So shoulders are away from your ears. Your chest is draping towards the ground. So we're kind of getting a stretch between the shoulder blades around the bra strap level. Bum is high, tail is high. Knees start to slide slightly apart. Now you can make this even stronger by turning your toes out and your heels in. If that feels a step too far, don't worry about that bit. If you are wanting to go a bit deeper, toes out, heels in, that just opens up the muscle, figure of eight muscle that goes between your sitting bones even more. So we are draping chest down, relaxing the jaw, taking nice long exhalations. Sighing the breath out. Hands up towards the ceiling in prayer. See if you can very consciously relax the pelvic floor area, the inner thigh area. Very good. Slowly come back up again. Now, if wrists are sore, take your bolster or a pillow and just rest your forearms onto it for this one. Knees are together and you're draping your hips from one side to the other. Please make sure knees are protected. If your knees are feeling at all sore, put a blanket, a couple of blankets underneath them. So now we're going into these abductor muscles, outer thigh muscles, into that sort of IT band where you might get sciatic pain sometimes. So down the sides of the pelvis, up and over. Up and over. Now, big circles. So you're drawing a circle now on the mat with your pelvis. So we're coming forward, stretching into the front of the pelvis, to the sides, draping, all the way back, nice stretch on the lower back, to the side again, and forward, slow circles. The female pelvis loves a circle, so hula hooping whilst you are boiling the kettle, standing around the house, circling your pelvis, maybe doing it while you're in the supermarket queue. Fabulous. Really, really great for getting everything moving, blood flow around all of those organs, decongesting, big circles. Now, let's go the other direction. If you find there's a point where you're like, whoo, I need to just hang here for a second, then do that. So if you get to like, one side, maybe the glute is feeling a bit tight, you might just want to pause, do a little massage into the stretch. Maybe you get to this area here and you're like, I just want to stop in extended child pose for a moment. I'm just going to have a hang out here, lovely stretch on the lower back. And what we want to do with this exercise is practice, it's called swadhyaya, where we are observing the body. This is a great exercise or asana for observation. So imagine you're just outside of your body with a clipboard and you're like, right side a bit stickier than left side. Ooh, right glute. Yeah, that's a bit twingy. Or lower back. And you're not adding a story to it. You're just taking note of what your body's telling you. So tension and pain is information for us. Very good. Okay, so you'll need a blanket underneath your knees, which is going to help our posture recalibrate. Come up onto knees and take some big circles backwards with your arms to start off with. We want to mobilize the shoulder girdle. So many women in midlife, when we lose our estrogen, end up with shoulder issues. This is a big problem for me for a couple of years. And we stop using the shoulder and we start to lose mobility, and that affects our heart health. Really super important to keep this mobility. When we get stiffness in the shoulders, we do also tend to have forward rolling shoulders, stops us being able to breathe well. Diaphragm and pelvic diaphragm work together. So as soon as your diaphragm gets stuck, pelvic diaphragm will get stuck as well. Okay, so up and back. So I want you now to leave your shoulders in the back of the sockets and down. Hands on the back of the pelvis. So fingers down, heels of the hands around the sacrum area here. Now, tuck your toes. Press your knees down into the mat so that you start to feel a bit of a stretch on your quadriceps here at the front. Imagine you have a string attached to your pubic bone and a string attached to your heart center. And those strings are attached to the ceiling. And very slowly, they're being winched up towards the ceiling. So you feel this kind of gentle pull straight up through the heart, through the pubic bone. Draw your elbows together for support. And we are lengthening the spine. We're pulling the vertebra slightly apart, extending the front line of the body. We want to take sippy breaths, little sippy breaths through the nostrils. And imagine the breath is like a T shape, so coming up through the heart and out to your shoulders, expanding this chest area. Little sippy breaths. So yes, a bit of a back bend, but we're more focused on the extension, the length through the front of the body. Okay, so from here, imagine you've got a string from the crown of your head, and that string is now being pulled up towards the ceiling, lifting you upwards. Draw the chin in, right in, give yourself a double chin. Drop the front of your rib cage, where these floating ribs are, down towards your spine, down like that. And just pause here for a moment in this alignment. Now, if you're okay to kneel, just drop down into a kneeling position and pause for a moment just to feel head directly on top of neck, on top of shoulders, shoulders on top of rib cage on top of pelvis. So once we're in this alignment here, diaphragm and pelvic diaphragm can work together properly. But if we're like that there isn't, all of your core system doesn't work. So we need to start working towards good alignment. Now from this position, I'm going to take my blanket away. We're just going to do a little bit more activation through the pelvic floor. If you find that kneeling is not working for you, I want you to stay here and you're just going to go tuck, release, a little bit like cat and cow, but we're going to be doing it in this position here. If you're okay kneeling, you get a bit more activation. If you pretend you are on a camel when you're riding through the desert, yeah? And we have our hands on the thighs and we round and then we draw back. Sorry, don't round. What am I talking about? You just move the pelvis, but you keep your torso straight. So we're not rounding, sorry. We're just doing that and then back. So just the torso is moving. So just the pelvis is moving, and keep your head looking straight ahead. Keep your head stacked straight ahead. Just moving the pelvis. And we're going to be breathing out with a puffy breath, breathing in through the back of the nostrils. Breathing out to round and to tuck, breathing in to lift and to spread. Now you might want to focus on the front of your pelvic floor around the urethra again. So as you go, you're doing a little lift and tuck, like a little squeeze here, and then as you let your bum go behind you, you feel everything relaxing. Like that. Good, and then just pausing for a moment. Let all the muscles just relax here. So we're going to do that similar action with the pelvic floor, but opening up the pelvic muscles even more on the relaxation. So doing it via downward facing dog, open up the back of the legs. Nice wide hands at the front of your mat. Start off in a tabletop, shoulders away from your ears. Do a little zip up here, so a little activation so that your back feels nice and straight, just like when we came out of the kneeling camel pose. Tuck your toes. Now you want to keep your back straight, so don't move your back much. Imagine someone's got your tail, yeah, so you've got this lovely big tail sticking out behind you. Someone's pulling your tail backwards and upwards towards the ceiling. So take your knees off the mat, pull that tail back and up. Keep your sitting bones lift and spread. Roll shoulders away from your ears. Go to your maximum stretch of your spine. Keep the knees bent for a moment. It feels like you're on the rack, yeah? So we're lengthening the spine. Armpits are stretching. Now put one heel down towards your mat at a time. So you're kind of massaging your calf muscles into your Achilles. Your Achilles just above your heels. You're paddling your legs. Come down onto hands and knees as soon as you need to. Take a breath and then just come back up again when you're ready. If you're okay to, drop one knee across the midline of your body towards the other side, and then the other knee. So we go into this hip stretch with the knees dropping one side and then the other. Fantastic. So now we're going to come into a little variation of pigeon pose. So I'm going to give you some alternatives if this feels a bit strong. First of all, take your right foot behind you, and then we're going to take this right foot and we want to get it up towards the left hand. So however that works for you, take the foot, slide it towards the left side of your mat, and then the knee goes towards the right side of your mat. You come down. Now, most of us are going to need several blankets, if not a bolster, underneath that right glute, right side of your pelvis here. So we want to slide the left leg back and keep it pretty much in the middle of the mat. And then you prop the pelvis as much as you need to. Now, for some people, this simply won't ever work because your hip joints just don't have this range of movement. So if that's you, it's fine. You just do this as an alternative. We go back into that zigzag shape and we're going to just lean slightly forward to get the deeper stretch. But if you are able to come into pigeon and you don't have pain in your knee, super important, prop as much as you need to in order to have the back of your pelvis relatively flat. So what we don't want is for you to be rolled over to the side like so, yeah? So propping here. And then, now if I had my bolster in front of me, I'm going to grab it. If I had my bolster in front of me, I could just rest down on my bolster. So if you guys have got your bolster or your pillows close by, maybe you want to just grab them and rest down towards the ground. So we can get a deeper stretch. Keep going with this. I'm just going to move that down slightly so you can see me a bit better. Okay, so pigeon. Now, in this pose, our pelvic floor muscles are really lengthened out. So we're getting a lovely deep stretch. So in the relaxation part, you need to also relax your jaw and go into the yeah, nice relaxed breath out, opening these pelvic floor muscles. And then what we're going to do is take our fists onto the ground, elbows out to the side, like you're a gorilla, like that. And as we push the floor away and straighten the elbows, so quite strong on your arms, you do the puffy breath out, like you're blowing out a candle, and you lift up through the urethra. So you stop yourself weeing, that's the action. Close the hose and lift upwards. So we go, and then hold it here and do some puffy breaths out. Lifting, 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 lifting. And then relax, relax down into the stretch, into this big whole pelvic stretch. And maybe just give yourself a moment. Shoulders relax, face relax, pelvic floor relax. So the muscles are going, okay, cool. We can lengthen, we can hydrate. And so that when we do contract, we've actually got somewhere to go. Let's try that again. Come up onto your fists, elbows out to the side. Get ready to close the hose. We push the floor away. We close the hose. We're stopping out that weird. That's the action. We're zipping up through the lower belly, deep transverse abdominal muscles. Little puffy breaths out to keep the diaphragm high and the pelvic diaphragm high. And then relaxing down. I'm not going to come all the way down this time. Just conscious softening of the pelvic floor, softening of the jaw. And then one more time, activation. Elbows out to the side, fists on the ground. Push the floor away, lifting up the pelvic floor. And then relaxing all the way down. Good. Take this back leg, spin it out in front of you. Give yourself just a little rinse here. A little rinse. Make sure your head is stacking right on top of your neck. Nice and tall through the spine. Beautiful. beautiful. Come back up into the center. We'll do the other side. So left leg stays in front, right leg's going back. Take your props and just move them over to the other side. Hands down on your mat. Push the floor away. Rearrange your back leg, the right leg, to be as central in your mat as possible. Use your props. Massage into your relaxed pigeon pose. Let's just take a moment. Jaw relaxed. Feel into the big deep stretch. Sacrum area nice and open. Pelvic floor muscles opening, relaxing. Sitting bones are wide. So for this bit, try really hard to be as relaxed around here as you can. Yeah, so we want to make sure that the body starts to get the signal, and this happens when we practice it again and again and again, that when we relax our facial muscles and our jaw, the rest of the body gets the signal that it's safe to go into relaxation. So this is us retraining our nervous system. So really a helpful thing for all sorts of situations in life. So now we go from relaxed and open to activations. Come up onto your fists, elbows out. Focus on your urethra. So we're going to close the hose. So you breathe out through a puffy straw. So puffy breath out through a straw. Keep the chin drawn in. This is called Jandara Bandha. This lock here, chin drawn in. Activating to lift through the pelvic floor. And then relaxing down. So when we lift for a bit of extra time, about 6-7 seconds, these are the slow twitch muscles. We're starting to build endurance through the sphincter muscles. So let's go again. Push the floor away. Activate. Close the hose. And relax down. Instant relaxation, eyes relaxed, jaw relaxed, face relaxed, neck relaxed, shoulders relaxed, pelvic floor relaxed. So everything's calm and relaxed. One more activation coming up. Okay. Fists right under shoulders and activation. Zipping up. Chin is in. Shoulders are down. And release. Well done. Let's take that back leg forward and give yourself, just take this blanket out of the way, a little rinse through the spine. Helps with digestion. Very good. Okay, coming onto your backs now, have your bolster close by. So just roll onto your side and onto your back. We're going to take the bolster underneath the pelvis. If you find it feels just too high, fold a couple of blankets instead. Yeah, so a bolster like this can feel a bit high if you're not used to it. I always say rock your pelvis a little bit and pause once you get a feeling of nice stretch through your lower back. Mistake often is to put the bolster too high, so it's actually you're going into a bit of a bridge. The bolster just sits where your sacrum is, so the bony bit in between your hip bones. Yeah, so get yourself into this resting position. This in itself is a fantastic daily practice for letting go of tension around the pelvis. It directly lets these psoas muscles soften and relax. A really good practice. It's also good if you like this for prolapse, and especially the rectocele. So why don't we do a few activations through the anus now, through the back of the pelvic floor. We're going to still activate around the vagina and around the front of the pelvic floor as well, but we're just going to visualize the anus and focus on that anus area. So without squeezing your bum, so don't let your bum muscles activate here, just focus on a sensation like you're stopping yourself passing wind, and then you're drawing that activation up towards your rib cage or towards the back area here, pressing into the mat. And then relax and let everything be soft again. So stopping yourself passing wind, and then you're pulling that activation upwards. You'll feel a little bit of core activation up here. Remember, our pelvic floor is the beginning of the whole core system. And then relax. Activate through the anus, stop yourself passing wind, zip it up, 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 up. Now hold it. We're going to work on the slow twitch muscles. Hold it. Do puffy breaths out. Don't squeeze your bum. And then relax. Do a few fast twitch. Activate and release. Don't squeeze your bum. Activate and release. Stop yourself passing wind and release. Stop yourself passing wind and release. Good. So let's just give ourselves a final rinse and stretch. Take your right knee in and out to the side, and then let your left knee drop out to the side. So now we're going back into that big inner thigh stretch, right into the groin. See if you can slide the foot slightly away from you to increase the stretch. And then take the left hand above your head. If that doesn't work, just out to the side, or you might even, if you've got a pillow, you might even put your arm onto something so it's not quite such a big stretch through the chest. Pausing here, relaxation breath. So ha, nice loose jaw. Focus on a ha, kind of extended, relaxed exhalation. And then as you breathe in, see if you can draw your fingers and toes a little bit further away from each other. So it's like an elastic band that's being stretched, a piece of elastic that's opening. So we want to open the rib cage again, open into those intercostal muscles, into the diaphragm. Stretch as far as you can on that inhalation. You might even stretch so much that your fingers and toes drift to the right, possibly. This gives us a bit of a banana shape, and we're hydrating the fascia, opening the whole fascial system underneath the skin surface. And then drawing it back, and like a piece of elastic, just kind of shortening again. Bring that left knee up. Pause here with knees apart for a moment. Let's just massage the feet. Circling those feet. And then we'll do the other side. So foot drops down, knees dropping out, inner thigh, getting a stretch. Start to take the toes down, going deeper into the hip flexors, the psoas. This affects your lower back. Often lower back pain comes from these guys being too tight. Above, if that works for your shoulder, propping if it doesn't. And then start to focus on breath in to stretch the intercostal muscles, open the diaphragm. Imagine the elastic band is stretching and maybe drifting fingers and toes towards the left. Slow, deliberate breaths in. And then all the way back. Now take those feet up towards the ceiling. If you feel it all dizzy, being on the slope, just take the bolster away. Arms up towards the ceiling. Weight of the arms and the legs dropping down into shoulders, into the pelvis. Gentle closed fists. Start to vibrate the fists and the wrists and the forearms and the elbows and the upper arms, and then start to vibrate your toes and your ankles and your calves and your knees and your thighs. So you want to get a jiggle on. Get everything jigging, 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 jiggling. And then start to jiggle your jaw. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, go. Rinsing the fascia, activating the vagus nerve, letting go of all the stuff. One more breath in. Good. Timber down. I'm just taking your focus underneath the skin surface, the whole of your body, and really just tune in for the next few seconds on the sensation of tingling underneath the skin surface. So doing that fascial rinsing, I call it, opens up our nadis, our energy channels. Gets the blood flowing around the body, very healing. And just lovely to tap into the feeling of aliveness of your body. And just taking this moment to also thank your body. It's amazing, literally just almost like kissing your body with the word thank you. Mentally saying again and again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Close the eyes, let the eyeballs become heavy in the sockets, and just send the word thank you, the mantra, thank you, the higher vibrational energy of the word thank you around this vessel that you are experiencing this lifetime through. This extraordinary body of yours. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just notice how the breath comes in and out of your body of its own accord. You don't have to do anything. The diaphragm just will work even without your conscious activation. Thank you, diaphragm. With little fingers and toes. Fingers and toes are pretty cool. They do some amazing things. And just slide that bolster out. Give yourself a hug. And rock from side to side. Now, if your spine is feeling a little tender, just rocking over to one side and push yourself up. If you're feeling a bit more energized, tuck yourself into a little ball and then rock and roll up and down your spine. Rock and roll. Massage the spine, massage all the nerves that attach to your spine. All the way up. Fabulous. Well done, guys. Just come in and sit. Take a moment to align yourself. I always like to swirl head and shoulders around for a moment, release any residual stickiness, and then be really conscious to stack your head right on top of your neck. Find that sweet spot where there's no holding, shoulders down and back. Take a couple of breaths where you run the breath up your spine and then down. Take the fingers out to the side and turn the palms to face the ceiling. Just imagine your palms are filling with fresh, vibrant energy. And then we'll take a slow, deep breath in and pull that energy up and around the body, right up lifting the eye gaze, hold the top of the breath for a moment, and then just let it go. Ah, that's you done. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.